Oh, stuff. Look at all this stuff. Oh, all this stuff. It's such a great burden, a big pack, carried on my back across the mountains. Wouldn't it be easier to throw it all away and be free and fly like a sparrow into the great blue beyond? Last week was the last week of uni. I'm one of the resident advisors, and all the RAs had to clean up rooms. Some people left nothing behind. Some people left frozen food, canned food, cleaning supplies, maybe an electrical device, such as a steamer or a hairdryer. But some people left behind so much, scattered all across the ground, pots and pans and Tupperware and games and trash and more trash, like a dragon's hoard of stuff. Yes, it looked like that, but instead of gold, it was things they didn't want anymore. The farmers had to grow the produce and the animal products, and then it was processed into food. And the miners mined metal, and it was processed into products. And the oil rig workers, they drew up the oil, processed it into plastic, and it too was formed into products. And all these products and food, the transportation industry workers, they brought it to the store. And then the shoppers went to the store and bought a mountain of things and carried it on their back to their homes and dumped it on the floor. But then they left it all behind, and the RAs came, put it into bags, threw them into the dumpster, and from there they will be thrown into the landfill, and all this food and metal and plastic came out of the ground, and it will go back into the ground, forgotten, to lie in the dark again for another 1,000,000 years, until the next person unearths it. And I thought, truly, this is the world where moth and rust destroy. Everything you own, everything that you treasure, or if you do not treasure it, if you waste it, it will all return to the dust from which it came, as will your own body. All the stuff you ever do, whether you throw it away now, or whether it's thrown away after you die, all the effort that was put into it, all the work that was done to make it, all the work that was done with it, will be lost. And I thought, why do I buy these things just to throw them away? What is the point? Well, a good friend, a fellow RA, said that rusted pan, it has a lot to say. It could tell you about meals cooked, friends fed. It could tell you about arguments it heard, and makeups and breakups. It could tell you about that time there was this really difficult stain and they had to scrub. Stuff can tell stories. Stuff can tell stories. Your first death is when your body breaks and you are thrown away. The second death is when someone speaks your name for the last time. And if stuff doesn't have a story to tell, then it only has the first death. But if stuff has a story to tell, then maybe it can have a second death. And that means it can have a second life. In this video, I'll be telling stories with stuff. I'm Jasper Fox, and you're watching Jasper's Campfire. I'm joined here by my good friend, the Lord Baron Esquire III. This is a mask I made for Carnival in the German club. Carnival is like the original Halloween before Halloween. I think they do a Mardi Gras in America, but we just made it because, look at this, right? Of course I made a fox, you know. The Lord Baron Esquire III just recommended that we decide whether we'll keep it or not.
Does this one spark joy?
Yes, it does. It reminds me of German club, it reminds me of my friends, it reminds me of all the fun, it makes me excited about having more fun next year.
Okay, will you keep it?
Yes. Which side should be the keeping side? My side. And if I give it to you, then you'll eat it.
Third way.
Yes.
Your toothbrush.
Yes, this is what I use to brush my teeth in the morning.
Hairbrush.
My friend actually gave this to me. The same friend who told me the story about how items have stories.
You
gave
can
this to
remember
me.
brushing your hair every time.
Since I'm learning to sew, I have some sewing supplies. I definitely want to use these because I'll be sewing.
Okay. I like the
I'll
grip.
be making new memories with these.
The grip is really nice. Nicely organized pencil set.
But I don't use it. One day I'll draw, but I always draw on my laptop. I always make digital art. Baron, they won't be able to see that. This is the Dulce Fox. When I was in high school, a friend painted this for me, and I've had it ever since. How many years has that been, Baron?
I think 50, maybe.
I must be pretty old. I've kept this ever since then, and I even have a digital copy on my laptop.
And a sweater.
And my dad also printed out a big one and made a sweater.
Do you keep the picture in a box, or do you have it up where you can see?
I have it on my desk so that all day long I can always peek at it. I read a book that said if you really care about something, you'll treasure it. You won't just keep it in a box. I always treasure this one. On the other hand, my cousin drew this for me, and this has things in it. It has memories in it, but I don't usually look through these things, so I don't know how much I treasure these. These are coupons that my family printed out for me about doing fun things with them. Definitely keeping those. These are movie tickets. This is when I watched Dune Part 2. That was during spring break with one of my friends. And then this was The Boy and the Heron. I planned a picnic with a bunch of my friends, and we went to the park, and then we watched Hayao Miyazaki's newest movie. That was such a good movie. This is a Bahnkarte. So this is when I lived in Freiburg, and I went on the cable car called the Schauinsland. And this is another ticket because I went with other friends.
If you want to make them extra special, the next time you do something like that, have them sign the card.
This is when I went to see Tibui's The Best We Could Do. She was talking about her book. And then this was where I lived when I was in Freiburg. The place was called the Stuzi. But the real question is, do I treasure these? This is the first time I've looked at them in years. I'm treasuring them now, but do I really need to keep them forever?
No. Well, I have the ticket to when I went to Universal Studios with my family.
How long ago was that?
2022.
But I think it's okay. I think these things can retire now. The memory is remembered, and now we're moving on. Having new adventures, and then 3 or 4 years from now, I'll have new memories. The true memories were the friends I made along the way. I don't need a coin. When I look at this, I remember this is the place where I keep tickets. This is a place where I store other memories. And of course, I also think of my cousin who made it for me. This is a painting that Squidward painted for me. It's called Bold and Brash. Squidward and I are good friends. We go back a long ways. Mm-hmm. And he's actually a member of 27 exclusive undersea clubs, and I happen to be a member of one of those too. So he painted a self-portrait for me, and that's really nice. This is another fox that my grandma made for me. I think she painted this and then cut it out, put it on wood. She likes to do crafts. Okay. I stored it in the living room so that way everyone could enjoy it. The same thing with Bold and Brash. And this empty container of cinnamon reminds me of that time my grandma loaned me cinnamon. This is a melodica. It's actually an instrument you can carry around, and I thought, oh man, I'll use this all the time. I bought this in high school. I've only used it a handful of times. I wish I did use it, but I don't. You wouldn't use it either, Baron?
No.
Well, then we can donate this to the thrift store, and maybe somebody else can use it and make their own memories with it. I don't have any memories with it, and I don't think I'll make any more. Now, the board games is an interesting question, because I enjoy this board game, and I enjoy this board game, but in the past year, I haven't played them. I wanted to play them with friends, but I just haven't had the time, and also since I lived in the dorms, getting people to come into the dorms was difficult. Next year, I'll have my own apartment, and hopefully I'll be able to invite over lots of friends, and we can play these. Okay. I have memories of playing them with friends, and I do intend to make more memories. So, my favorite game is Pikmin. And over the years, grandmas have made Pikmin, or my parents bought me this Pikmin, and I put them in my room, but I realized that I mean, these are nice, and that's why I feel sad to, even though I don't really, what was the phrase that you say, Baron?
Sparking joy.
These don't spark joy, but when I look at these, I think, oh, maybe if I donate them, someone else can make memories with them.
Now I must ask, what is this?
Oh, this goes with this.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. At the beginning of RA training, we had to do a bunch of different things, some of them practical. How do you deal with people who are rude? How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? How do you let people into the building? How do you let them out? But one day someone came and made a presentation where they talked about celebrating diversity, and at first I thought, well, that sounds kind of weird. So he said, first, write down who you are, write down your identities. And so on the inside of this, when it was a piece of paper, I wrote down, Child of God, Julian, and I wrote some silly things too, like fox and potato. Then I wrote some other personality traits, academic, creative. Mm-hmm. Then he had us fold this into a flower. This is actually pretty complicated to make. And he said, now when you look at the outside, the flower might look messed up, it might look wonky, but he said the true beauty is inside the flower. That's what people don't see. They don't see your personality, they don't see who you are. And in that moment I thought, boy, this person is giving a secular lesson, and I mean, it's a story of love. It's a story of how to love people no matter what they look like. And I thought that in that moment, that person knew how to love better than I knew how to love. So then I prayed, God, show me how to love the way that he can. Love people for who they are. Really, who God made them to be. That's what's inside the flower. So this has very strong memories, and it reminds me to love people. It reminds me that just because I'm a Christian, that doesn't mean that I love people better than anyone else, since after all, God's love is perfect. This is the About Me board. The RAs put these up in front of the room. They're supposed to explain who you are. So it has my name on it, some scriptures, the languages I speak, and then some other things. Home planet, Earth, species, human, always got to put that on there. That's important information. And this is the one I made this semester. God just keeps becoming more and more important as I pray. You know, God, lead me closer to you. So I made sure that with this one, there's a big cross central. What I like to do with friends, what I like to do on my own. This doesn't have very many memories attached to it. I made it and then I hung it outside my door, and I didn't look at it very often since it's not the front door of the building. It's basically my door as the back door. But it's also just celebrating me. I mean, I already do my hobbies. Every time I do my hobby, I don't need a piece of paper telling me what my hobbies are. So this was nice. I enjoyed making it, but I don't think I need it. This is where I keep my art supplies. This is a knife. These are my 2 baking trays. Oh, I've made so many cookies, so many pizzas, so much bread. These are full of memories, and I intend not only to make more memories, but to bake more things and share them with friends. This is my Technoblade shirt. I wear this Technoblade shirt. When I look at this pile of stuff now, I realize that I do use these things. Some of them have memories, some of them have utility, some of them I want to use to make more memories, and now I think I can feel good about the things I own. What did you think about storytelling through stuff, Baron Lord Esquire III?
It's interesting. I've never done that before.
This morning when I recorded the first part of the video, I felt burdened by all this stuff, but now I feel happy about it. Instead, the feeling inside of me is to praise God and say, thank you, God, for all the stuff that I can use and all the experiences I can have with them, and help me learn to value stuff. Well, that's all I have for now. Maybe we'll cross paths again someday. Until then, God bless. And now we'll just look at each other awkwardly for 20 seconds, because I always like to have the, in those, watch this video or watch that video or subscribe. It has to be at least 20 seconds. Oh, I know, I don't remember how long we've been holding it for.